Hey everyone, I'm Jess from Checkbox, and today I'm joined by CEO and co-founder Evan Wong of Checkbox. Last time we talked about what legal automation is and why everyone's talking about it. Today I'd like to know from your experience, what are the common areas or use cases that in-house legal teams are automating?
So there's 4 key areas that I've seen commonly. The first key area for legal automation has been intake and triage.
Right.
So this is the idea of how do you help a big business user base access what is typically a very small legal team, proportionate to that business size that they're serving, right? And the reason why this is a problem is because, first of all, business users don't really know how to properly instruct lawyers. So when they come to legal for help, it's often, incomplete information or inaccurate. And that results in a lot of back and forth correspondence between the legal team and the business user. Very inefficient for both sides, right? The other thing is in larger organizations, you might have a pretty sizable legal team, right? So we've worked with legal teams of upwards of 200, people in the legal team themselves. And as a business user, you can imagine which of those 200 lawyers do I actually go to for my help, right? And it may be by specialization, it might be that they're partnering with a particular type of a business. It's very hard for business users who may not be engaging with legal every single day in their day job to know who to go to for things. So automating intake and triage is all about creating a single digital front door to legal, where business users can access, say, through an intranet portal, and very easily actually be directed through sort of like a guided, concierge through finding the right legal resource, whether that is a lawyer, or perhaps it's even a self-serve resource like here are FAQs, here is the policy that you're looking for. So it might be a combination of self-service or taking you to the right lawyer, right? So that's the intake and triage piece that we see is very, very popular. The second piece that we see is very popular for legal automation is standard document generation. So being able to create documents from precedent documents like NDAs to, we've seen lease agreements, service agreements, even as heavyweight as like a MSA, a master services agreement, has been automated before using legal automation in a tool like Checkbox. And this is the idea that, again, legal teams spend so much time drafting legal agreements, whether that is putting in the company's business number or taking out clauses that don't apply because of the jurisdiction, or even selecting the correct template to begin with. Right? That all takes up a lot of expensive lawyer time, precious lawyer time, or in some cases we see the business provide that as like a self-serve downloadable template to the business users. And whilst that kind of shifts the effort over to the business users, it comes with the risk that the business users use that template incorrectly.
That's true.
Right? So legal automation allows the business users to self-serve those documents, but putting in the controls to ensure that the correct compliant by design document is generated at the end, and facilitating the signature workflow and the tracking of those signatures and the status of the document in a central dashboard for the legal team. Right? So they still have that visibility and control. Right? So that's the second area, standard document automation. The third area that we see is around approval workflows. So this is really around the fact that the legal team is still really a risk function, right? Like you're managing the risk for the organization just on legal issues and matters. And what that means is many business processes actually require legal to sign off on something, to approve something. And we end up being part of the approval process. Or actually, legal often ends up becoming the center for facilitating the delegation of authority in an organization, the DOA. So even if you want a document executed, like to be signed off officially, not anyone in a business can just sign off on behalf of the company, right? Like you can't just sign off a checkbox on like a deal, let's say. So what we would need to do is sort of understand whose approvals would be needed in order for us to then, sign off on the final contract and commit our company to that sort of that legal relationship. Many clients that we work with simply run around the office literally with a cover sheet that sits on top of the document.
Wow.
And they run it to the CFO, they run it to like the head of IT, and these people are signing off on this cover sheet. When all of the signatures are collected, then we can execute the final document, right? And it's getting really hard with largely virtual working now today as well. So the third area of legal automation is around automating these approval processes. If you have a system that can actually codify your delegation of authority, in other words, who needs to sign off on this? Who needs to sign off on this gift? Who needs to sign off on this document being executed? Right? This good or service being procured. If you build that into the system, you no longer have to memorize or refer to the PDF document with the decision tree or the matrix, or you don't have to call up legal and say, I'm planning to do this, who needs to sign off on this, right?
Yeah.
And what we do is we basically, as someone goes through the transaction, we pull in the relevant stakeholders based upon the delegation of authority, and we even facilitate the approval process itself, so the audit trail is right there at the one place rather than in your email threads.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to search in the inbox for evidence of things being signed off. Right? So it's a very big pain point. The fourth area, the fourth and final area that we see is very common, is around automated advice.
Right.
Okay. Now, automated advice, I want to differentiate from just FAQs. It's not as simple as frequently asked questions, it's actually a little bit more than that. It's the type of questions that business users might come to a legal team for, but it requires a little bit of an interview process, a bit of an investigation to understand all of the facts before you can give the piece of advice. But the piece of advice and the facts are pretty stock standard. They're not super bespoke, and therefore it can be automated. Right? So this is examples like, let's say you had a data incident happen within your organization. Let's say you accidentally sent an email to the wrong customer disclosing information of another customer.
Yeah.
What do I do now? Well, the legal team would say, well, how many people were affected? What information was disclosed? When did this happen? What have you done so far? These are all the questions that you can actually just build into a system, allow a business user to answer, and have the system determine some preliminary advice. Maybe to say, oh, this is actually a very low risk situation. You left your business card, you left a business card you collected at another client's meeting room, very low risk, right through to, you've sent 50 emails with financial information to a client, right? So the system can actually help you classify the risk and then even facilitate the workflow to escalate it to different points, or provide you with the next steps to basically to handle the situation, right? So that's the automated advice piece that you typically see in what traditionally is known as expert systems in the legal industry.
Yeah.
So those are the four key areas, and the coolest thing is that actually all four of them work together. All four of them work together because if you imagine a business user comes in, accesses that that intake piece, that digital legal front door. At that point, they can be directed to either escalated to a lawyer because it's a much more complex matter.
Yep.
It can be brought to a self-serve standard document generation like an NDA.
Yep.
It can be brought to an approval process. Maybe you're trying to get something approved and it walks you through that.
Yep.
Or it could be a piece of advice, but the whole thing is strung together into a single access.
Awesome. That was really, really insightful. Thank you for that, Evan. If you guys would like to find out more about the use cases that he spoke about, visit our website. Not only do we have a bunch of app templates for these use cases, but more information, blogs, white papers that you can access to.